Imagine earning $200,000 a year and still being broke. Welcome to Wealth Blueprint.
Picture this. You're earning decent money. You've got a steady job, you don't overspend, you skip the fancy vacations, you make your own coffee. You do everything the financial advice gurus tell you to do. And yet, your married friends just bought a house. They're investing. They're taking vacations. They look like they're winning. Meanwhile, you're still renting, still living paycheck to paycheck, and wondering, what am I doing wrong? Here's the answer nobody tells you. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just playing a game that was never designed for you. Because there is a hidden financial penalty for being single in this economy. It's not in the law books, there's no official form you sign, but it shows up in your bank account every single month. And over a lifetime, this invisible penalty can quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Today, we're going to break it down, piece by piece. This is the singles tax, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Now, before we go further, let's be clear about one thing. Nobody sent you a letter. There's no line on your tax return that says singles surcharge $8,000. That's what makes this so dangerous. The singles tax is invisible. It's baked into the structure of housing markets, grocery stores, insurance companies, the tax code. Think of the modern economy like a two-player game. Almost every pricing system, every tax incentive, every sharing structure, it was built with two incomes, two people, and two contributors. When you're a couple, you're playing the game it was designed for. When you're single, you're playing the same game with half the resources, paying double the per-person costs, and competing against people who have a built-in structural advantage. And the wild part? Most people just assume that's normal. They call it the single life. What they should be calling it is the single penalty. Let's start with the biggest one, housing. This is where the singles tax hits hardest and most painfully. Let's do some simple math. A single person renting a modest one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city pays on average $1,800 per month. Now take a couple. They rent a two-bedroom, maybe slightly nicer, for $2,200 a month. Split between two people, that's $1,100 each. So the single person is paying $700 more per month for housing for essentially the same life. Per year, that's $8,400. Now here's where it gets brutal. Housing isn't the only expense that scales like this, but let's just focus on housing for a second and look at the long-term damage. What if that single person, instead of paying $8,400 more per year in housing costs, invested that money at a 7% average annual return? Over 30 years, that $8,400 per year compounds to over $850,000. Read that again, $850,000. That's the housing penalty alone. And it goes deeper, because not only do singles pay more per person, they also get less house for that money. They can't afford to buy as easily. They often can't qualify for mortgages the same way. They don't benefit from two incomes building equity. So they rent longer, they accumulate less property wealth. And the gap between single people and couples on the housing ladder gets wider every single year. This isn't a personal finance problem. This is a structural economic imbalance, and housing is just the beginning. Let's talk about something that seems small but adds up fast: groceries. Here's an uncomfortable truth about eating alone. Food is packaged, priced, and sold for families. A bulk bag of chicken, a family-size carton of milk, a multi-serve portion of salad greens. When you're cooking for 2 or 4, you use it all. When you're single, half of it spoils before you can finish it. Studies have found that single-person households waste up to 40% more food per capita compared to multi-person households. That wasted food is wasted money. But it's not just food. Toilet paper, cleaning supplies, laundry detergent. Everything in bulk packaging is priced for high-volume consumption. When you can't access that volume, you pay the premium. A single person's cost for the exact same monthly grocery and household items can run $200 to $400 more per year than their proportional share would be in a couple. And that's before we factor in the restaurant meals, the takeout nights, and the food for one pricing at every corner of the market. Small numbers, but they stack, and we've barely started. Here's one most people never think about: insurance, specifically car insurance. Insurance companies use statistical models to determine risk, and one of the factors they use is marital status. Studies consistently show that married drivers file fewer claims, have fewer accidents, and are statistically lower risk drivers. Does that mean you personally drive less safely because you're single? Of course not. But it doesn't matter, because insurance companies don't price you as an individual. They price you as a statistical category. And single is a more expensive category. The average difference in car insurance premiums between married and single drivers can range from $100 to $500 per year for the exact same vehicle and driving history. Home insurance has similar patterns. Life insurance, couples often benefit from bundled policies and spousal benefits that single people can't access. You're paying more for less for the same risk. That's not just frustrating, that's structurally unfair. And it keeps going. Now let's talk about the tax code, because this one is hiding in plain sight. In the United States and in many countries around the world, tax systems provide meaningful financial advantages to married couples. Here's how it works. When a married couple files jointly, they often access a lower effective tax rate than a single person earning the same individual income. They get higher standard deductions, higher income brackets, spousal IRA contributions, estate tax transfers, gift exclusions. One very common scenario: a single person earning $75,000 might pay around $11,800 in federal income tax. A married couple where one spouse earns $75,000 and the other earns significantly less can file jointly and pay thousands less on that same household income, thanks to how the tax brackets stack. This is sometimes called the marriage subsidy, the inverse of the famous marriage penalty that used to exist for high dual income couples. For moderate income households, being married often means paying less in taxes. Being single, you're funding a tax system that was partly designed to reward a lifestyle you're not living. And nobody talks about this out loud. Let's step back and look at the full picture. Because the singles tax isn't just housing, it's not just insurance, it's not just taxes, it's everything. Rent split, electricity split, internet split, Netflix and every streaming subscription split. A car shared, furniture shared, a vacuum cleaner, a kitchen appliance, a piece of exercise equipment, all shared. A couple with a combined income of $120,000 is not just earning twice what a single person at $60,000 earns. They're spending significantly less per person on every category of life. This is called the lifestyle efficiency gap. Life is simply cheaper in pairs. And it's not because couples are smarter or more disciplined, it's because fixed costs become variable when you have a partner. The single person at $60,000 absorbs 100% of every fixed expense. The couple each absorbs 50%. That difference in structural efficiency creates a financial acceleration effect that compounds year after year. Let's put real numbers on that. This is the section that changes how you see everything. Let's be conservative. After housing, food waste, insurance premiums, tax inefficiencies, and shared living costs, a single person pays on average $6,000 to $10,000 more per year than their equivalent married counterpart for the same standard of living. Let's use $8,000. That's $667 per month. Invisible, structural, unavoidable without a conscious strategy. Now, what if that $8,000 per year was invested instead at an average annual return of 7%? Over 10 years, $110,000. Over 20 years, $328,000. Over 30 years, $756,000. But here's the real kicker. That's not accounting for the housing equity gap, the lower savings rate, the single income retirement. When you factor in the total accumulated wealth difference between a single individual and a couple over a 30 to 40 year working life, the gap can easily exceed $1 million. $1 million. Not because the single person did anything wrong, not because they spent recklessly or saved too little, but because the structural cost of living alone, compounded across decades, quietly drains a fortune from their financial future. This is the true cost of the singles tax. And the most dangerous part? Most people never even see it coming. So why doesn't anyone talk about this? Why doesn't the financial media call this what it is? 3 reasons. First, the costs are spread across dozens of categories. No single bill says singles tax, so people never connect the dots. Second, society has trained us to think about marriage as emotional, not economic. We think about love, companionship, family, not tax brackets and insurance premiums. So when the financial gap shows up, people assume it's about choices, not structure. Third, nobody wants to say out loud that being single is a financial disadvantage. It sounds harsh, it sounds judgmental, so the conversation doesn't happen. And so millions of people spend decades working harder, saving more, cutting expenses, and still wondering why they can't seem to get ahead, while the real answer is hiding in plain sight. They're operating in a system not designed for them, and they're doing it without a map. But here's where it gets interesting. Because once you know the game, you can...
If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Join the Wealth Blueprint community.